Hello, this is Riley Smith with Make Good Creative Network. I am a comedy writer and a improviser. I have been improvising for 14 years, I think I figured out it was. And I've also taught improv. I have taught improv at the university level. I have performed improv in both the US and the UK. I also made it thus far, I'm not done yet, but have made it to advanced level Groundlings. So their third level of their core track, which recently got restructured. We'll get into that. But anyway, I have been through most of the Groundlings program, taken some of their Power Wows, their shorter classes. Again, we'll go into that. But today I wanted to give you my Groundlings review and my opinion on whether Groundlings would be the right school for you. Because it's expensive. It's expensive and time consuming. So I want to make sure you have all the information before you jump into giving them thousands of dollars and years of your time. So first, just the basics of how is the Groundlings program structured and how much does it cost. Groundlings is definitely structured as a progressive advancement to kind of like a pyramid. At the very bottom, you have just their improv A, just they're like, come on in and we'll teach you the very basics. So if you have never done improv before and you have very little acting experience, start with this, go and take it. I've not taken that class because I already had some improv experience. So they have improv A and B, I believe it is, and that's just open to all. That is not elimination style, which the later classes are. This is just their intro track where you can go and get acquainted with what is improv. Like I said, I have not taken their intro classes. My guesses are that they're fine, but you can probably learn beginning improv from somewhere for cheaper, and it'll probably be fine. Like, I definitely recommend starting, if you're brand new to improv, with probably something different than Groundlings, and then coming back to Groundlings later when you're a little bit more experienced and you want to improve. Once you get through your intro, if you have some experience, you may audition for their core track. These auditions are pretty simple. It's basically you get up and do a scene and somebody side coaches you. So somebody sitting on the side kind of live directs, tells you, can you do that a little bit louder? Can you say that with a funny accent? Can you be bigger? Can you tighten up? They'll give you feedback live. I think this is very fun. If you have no experience being side coached or live directed, it can be pretty jarring. You might not know how to do it, which is why I'm saying you are going to want to get improv or acting experience before you attempt this audition. If you pass the audition, then you will be permitted to give them money for their core track. The core track and their performance track has kind of been reorganized a little bit. So I'm going to tell you what it was when I took it, and I think what they've changed now. So when I took it, there were 3 classes in their core track. There was basic, intermediate, and advanced. The basic class teaches you the basic rules of improv. It expects you to get pretty good at them pretty fast, but it is pretty simple. If you have improv experience, basic is not that challenging. I think people who only have acting experience can sometimes find it a bit more challenging. Intermediate gets harder because that's when they really want you to start focusing on character work. They are much more strict in intermediate. A lot of people pass basic. Not as many people pass intermediate. And then if you do pass intermediate by showing that you can perform at least 5 distinct funny characters, they will guide you to these characters. It is not impossible, it is just challenging. And the final product will be that you will have 5 characters now that you can do, that you can fall back on for improv or sketch or whatever. If you pass that class, if you can show them that you can do 5 funny characters, then you can take advanced. Advanced is a lot of fun. Basically, you just learn a lot of improv games, but the whole thing is kind of a test to see if you can integrate everything that they've taught you so far. Can you take the principles from basic and the characters that you've built, your ability to perform characters, and can you put it on in a show? Can you bring it to people? Can you do it for a live audience? So there is actually a show at the end of advanced. There is not a show at the end of basic or intermediate. You do not get a show at the Groundlings until you at least make it through advanced. Now, I have mentioned that these are eliminate style or pass-fail style. You get 3 chances to pass each of these classes. You get 3 chances and that's it. If you fail out 3 times, you are no longer permitted to continue with the program. You can take all the previous courses that you have taken as many times as you'd like. Sure, they'd love to take more of your money, but you may not continue with the program. At that point, you do flunk out. You get 3 chances. Usually most of the cuts happen in advanced. I think most people who stick to it do eventually get through intermediate or they get cut, but there are some people who just like fail intermediate once or twice and don't come back. That can happen. There's a lot more people who don't make it out of advanced. Now this class is no longer called advanced. They have renamed it. It's now part of the sketch track. So now it's basically you go from basic to intermediate into their performance track. So if you make it to level 3 though, and you pass level 3, then they will invite you to take their intro to sketch. They have another just kind of open to everybody like sketch class that you can just take, which is probably very good, but I'm not taking that one. But once you get out of that 3rd level improv class, now they're focused on taking the things that you've done in improv and turning it into sketch comedy. As I said, I have not made it to that class yet, but I know some people who have. They said it's extremely helpful, but it is very stressful because you are expected to produce. You're expected to write sketches for class like every week. So they will help you, but it's also training you to have a really fast output. So you will be expected to write a lot. So if you're going to take that class, be ready. You are going to have to write a sketch every week at least. If you make it through that class, you might be invited to Sketch Lab, which is the same thing but harder. That's invite only as well. So if you make it to intro to sketch, you might be just cut. It's only some people make it to the next level of the program. After that sketch class, you again might be invited to join their Sunday program. This is a really great thing to get into because it's just so good for networking. Once you get into the Sunday troupe, most of the people I know who at least made it to Sunday troupe are working actors. They have the connections and experience they need to stay working, at least in commercials. Usually, if you make it to the Sunday class, you can also now teach as part of the Groundlings program. Several of my teachers were Sunday troupe graduates. It's not Sunday school. Lol. Once you get into the Sunday troupe, you then have basically 6 months to prove yourself. You might be invited to stay a little bit longer in the Sunday troupe, or you might get promoted to the main troupe. You might become a Groundling. So as you can see, it is a pyramid. Very few people stick it out to the top. I'm gonna try to do my best, stay tuned. It's not my priority right now because I've been taking more clown classes. That is the basic Groundling structure. All of their classes are about $500. They do offer discounts and scholarships occasionally, especially for BIPOC. Check that out. It might help you a lot to make it a lot more affordable. But yeah, it's about like $500 a class. That's a lot of classes in there. It's like 12 classes. So it's not a crazy price, but you know, sometimes you have no money and 500 is crazy. That's, you know, just so you know, all these classes are like $500. They do also offer they offer like one-off drop-in workshops, which have really cool topics and are taught by really cool people. So check those out. Sometimes they have like, you know, like how to improvise hip hop or voiceover that can really help your career, help you gain skills just with a one-day workshop. They also have something called a Power Wow, which basically if you pass intermediate, you are now allowed to take a whole new run of one-off workshops. They just want to make sure that you have that level of experience before you come into the workshop. Again, very cool, lots of interesting topics. I will say that I have found the one-offs to be kind of hit or miss because it's very contingent on who is teaching and who the crowd is that you're with. So I recommend the ones that are really focused on topics that are maybe outside of usual improv skills and not the ones that are just kind of more about improv skills. Like take the voiceover class, not the like silence on stage class, because the classes that are about improv skills tend to just reiterate the Groundlings philosophy. Which now, let's get into it. Now that you have an idea of what the Groundlings structure is, let's talk about their philosophy. What style of improv does the Groundlings teach?